Fireworks canceled? Beach closed? No dogs allowed? Why?
It's the cutest thing ever.
Some pronounce it piping plover, others piping plover. Either way, piping plovers and their chicks are adorable. This species faced the possibility of extinction. When it was listed under the Endangered Species Act in 1986, piping plovers were down to about 500 breeding pairs in the entire United States. How are they doing now, and how can humans help? Stick around and find out.
My name is John Welch. I'm a landscape and wildlife photographer and aspiring conservationist. I hope to make people aware of the little miracles in nature all around them. I can think of no cuter example of this than the piping plover.
These are small shorebirds that live in the soft sand in the back edge of beaches at oceans or lakes. They have great camouflage. You will often hear them before you see them, with their piping call that gives them their name. They hunt primarily small marine worms, crustaceans, and insects, and often use a foot stamping method to startle their prey out of their hiding places in the sand and bring them to the surface. The species became at risk because of housing development and increased recreational use in beach environments in the late 1800s and into the 1900s. This not only destroyed habitat, but also led to an increase in predation on eggs and plovers from unsupervised cats and dogs that people brought, as well as from natural predators, which were attracted to beaches because of the human food waste that was left behind. Piping plovers were also once hunted for feathers, but that practice was outlawed by the Migratory Bird Act of 1918. After spending the winter in the southern U.S. and Caribbean, piping plovers return to their breeding grounds in late March or early April on beaches ranging from North Carolina to Nova Scotia. Males will have territorial disputes, fluffing themselves up and chasing off rivals. Mates will form nests in depressions in the sand on the back edge of the beach, close to the dunes. They typically lay 4 eggs that will hatch in about 25 days. In my area, I usually see hatchlings between late May and late June. The downy young are born precocial, meaning they are able to feed themselves and will follow their parents to forage for food. Chicks still get help from their parents, especially on chilly or rainy days, going under them to warm up in a safe place, unless their parents accidentally step on them. Twice. Chicks grow fast. After 30 days, they are able to fly. By mid-September, both adults and juveniles will migrate south for the winter. Will piping plovers go extinct? They are still listed as federally threatened and endangered in some states. The good news is that piping plover populations have been increasing since being listed under the Endangered Species Act. Along the Atlantic shore, the population has tripled to about 1,800 pairs, and the global population is about 8,000 now. There has been an increase in protective measures designed to help the piping plovers all along the Atlantic seaboard. And yes, it's true. Fireworks have even been canceled in some areas because of nesting piping plovers. That's because fireworks would cause them to panic and abandon their nests. This could lead to egg failure, especially in chilly or rainy weather. In other areas, state wildlife agencies have roped off plover nesting areas, putting up signs to notify the public about their presence, They have also banned pets and off-road vehicles in these beaches. These roped-off protected areas also give the chance for other species to breed, such as least terns, who also have really cute chicks. Another measure to protect piping plovers is using plover monitors who volunteer to educate the public about them and proper etiquette while being around them. It is vital not to harass piping plovers while nesting or to disrupt their feeding. If you want to observe and photograph them, the good news is that the ethical way to approach them will also give you the best results. Like any shorebird, piping plovers will typically work ashore moving in one direction, in a start and stop pattern. The best way to observe them is not to walk directly up to them, which would flush them, but to position yourself ahead of where they will be and sit still and wait. I have found this works great and doesn't stress the birds and lets them choose where to go. Even still, don't spend too long with them and back off after a little while. State, federal, and private conserved land, protected from housing development, has been helpful in the piping plover's rebound as well.
In conclusion, I hope you learned something from this video and that you get the chance to observe these piping plovers scurrying happily along our beaches this summer and for generations to come. This video is part of a series that I'm starting called Common Ground Conservation. And what I'm trying to do here is to take conservation and nature issues out of the realm of the current divisive team sports politics and put it back into a place of civil discussion where people from quote-unquote all tribes and sides can just sit back and observe nature and think about some of the issues that's raised. After all, this is our common ground.